right. Welcome into the 305 guys on the 5 Reasons YouTube channel. Today we actually have 3 guys here hosting. So we're going to get to that in a second. We're sponsored here by Prize Picks. Use the code 5, F-I-V-E. If you see another code in there, that code sucks. Add our code, delete their code. You get $50 in free lineups. They'll be right there on the Explore page. Prize Picks is the official fantasy partner of the 5 Reasons Sports Network and play NFL, NBA, NHL, and more, MMA as well. It's all on there. And if you're in a different state, you can play college football too. You just can't do that in Florida. Also, they've added the teams tab, so make sure that you check that out. That's pretty cool, and we'll give you more details on that over the next couple of weeks. Go to prizepicks.com, use the code 5, F-I-V-E. Get your $50 in free lineups, and that way if you lose, you don't care, which is actually nice. All right, I got Alex Donno. He's my co-host here on 305 Guys twice a week. We took a couple weeks off, but we're back. I'm Ethan Skolnick. You can follow me, Ethan J. Skolnick on 5 Reasons Sports. We got OL Coach Smith, 63. You know him as Eric Smith. He's here on Scouting the Phins, also on the postgame show and more. You also hear him on the 3 yards per carry feed. And I tested this one before we got on. Rinse, repeat, regret. Is that where we're headed? We should have titled it that. Is that where we're headed for? What we're headed for, Eric, in the sense of, team plays themselves out of the playoff picture, plays themselves back to in the hunt, doesn't really resolve some of the issues. Maybe some it does. Goes into the offseason feeling good about the way it rallied, and then comes out the same way next year. Are we concerned about any of that?
Absolutely. It feels like we're very much on that track, except for it seems like in years past, the team was a little more in the hunt than what they are now. They're going to need basically a miracle to make the playoffs at this point. I'm not sure if it really matters one way or another. Earlier in the season, just a few weeks ago, we wanted to blow the entire thing up. We're celebrating Chris Grier getting fired. We were looking forward to Mike McDaniel getting fired and starting with a clean slate, which is something the team never does. But here we are a few weeks later. The team has given us reasons to be optimistic that they're actually fixing things without changing any personnel or anything like that. So it does feel like a scenario where we could be heading into an offseason where we don't see the sweeping changes that we thought we were going to see a few weeks ago. And we return with a lot of the same players, a lot of the same staff. And we hope again that we made the right decision to, keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting the same results.
Well, so let me ask you, Eric. I mean, Dolphins have won 4 out of 4 in a row, 5 out of their last 6 games. Has your opinion changed at all, seeing the run that they're on? Do you feel differently about the job status of McDaniel than you did a month ago, and about the future of any of the current players?
So I don't know how hot McDaniel's seat ever was, because even when Chris Grier was fired, there was a lot of people saying that Steve Ross was still very high on Mike McDaniel, and that there was a good chance that he was still going to return. And I think it was after the second or third win that it was like he's almost locked into staying. So I'm not sure that a whole lot has changed in terms of those expectations. We have seen a shift in some of the stuff they've done on the field, especially sticking to running the ball a little more than they have in the past. And that's a nice growth that we've seen from McDaniel, but it kind of feels, I don't want to say too little too late, because he's probably going to be here next year at this point, but it just feels like McDaniel is always slow to adjust, and we get there eventually, but at some point it's got to speed up, right? We're still seeing some of the same procedural stuff. A few weeks ago, we're taking a timeout before we even snap the ball. I mean, stuff like that has been haunting the team for all 4 years that McDaniel has been here. So there are things that are improving. There are things that are moving in the right direction, but it's not a rapid improvement. I can't say that I can sit here and expect a huge improvement next year if we just keep doing the same stuff.
Well, the Brunskill thing, right? The adding the extra offensive linemen and committing to the run, and you're just like, well, okay, now we've gone totally the other direction. If you had just come this way a little bit before, when they had more weapons, when you had Tyreek, when you had Tua who could throw the ball a little bit, which doesn't seem to be the case right now, then you would have play action, all the things that could have developed off of that. And, now we're at this other stage. You're kind of forced to. I say necessity is the mother of invention, but I'm not sure this was invention. It just feels like it was desperation. And again, I'm glad that he's leaned into it. I like him. I just don't know that it's going to get better next year. That's my concern, and I don't know, that they're going to lean into the the strategy change. I don't know if they'll lean into that with the personnel that they acquire this offseason either. I'm not convinced of that. Let's talk about Tua because we have to do that. We're contractually obligated, just like they're contractually obligated, right? So as long as they are, we are. I've made the case, and I know we've talked about this on the post game show that people can do their victory dances now about what he is and that they always knew it, but he wasn't always this. That's the thing. He's just not the same guy. I guess the hope was he was going to be what he was and then go to another level. It's gone way the other direction. Is this salvageable in your view in any way? Because he has not thrown the ball well in 5 of the last 6 games, basically, that he's played.
Yeah, I think when you see quarterbacks who start out hot and then they kind of digress as they move forward in their careers, a lot of that has to do with quarterbacks that are taking, I don't want to say unnecessary hits, but they're not being protected the way that they should be. And that kind of feels like where we are with Tua. And I do think there is an opportunity to salvage it, but I don't know. I don't know if we're ever going to see the Tua that we saw before that was willing to stand in there and take hits at times. It feels like he is now that type of mid-tier quarterback that if you can get to him early in the game, it's going to have lasting effects throughout the game. I think that's something to watch in the games as we go forward. Like if he gets hit early, does that affect the way that he plays? Or if he's able to sit back there and he's able to have time to carve up the defense, do you see a more confident quarterback later in the game? And even against the Jets, like even though they started out running the ball so well, you go back to that touchdown that he threw to Jalen Waddle, and Cole Strange is giving up a hit on the quarterback as he's throwing the ball. And so, when something like that happens to him early in the game, where it's a basic protection that shouldn't be getting hit from behind on that, right? You have the entire line sliding that way. That shouldn't happen. Does that have lasting effects the rest of the game? So I think that, going into Monday, something to keep an eye on is, does he get hit early and what does he look like later in the game, whether he does or does not?
What's your opinion, Eric, on Tua, and if he's able to get back to form? I mean, how far do you think this team can get in the future with Tua as quarterback?
It's gonna. I mean, I think that he is basically a game manager at this point. It's hard to ask him to be anything more than that. So how far you can get with him is going to depend on how well can you run the ball, how well can the defense play well. We've seen teams in the past that have made deep playoff runs, and we've seen teams win the Super Bowl with mid-tier quarterbacks, right? It doesn't happen too often, but you can still win with that. You just have to find that formula that doesn't ask them to be the reason that you win. Instead, they got to be more the reason you don't lose. And like Ethan was saying about, the changing out of necessity, like it's kind of crazy to me that it was Julian Hill getting injured is what kind of forced this change. They ran out of tight ends and had to put Dan Brunskill in there. And like, that's the reason that we're seeing that. So as we go into the offseason, I don't think the team is in a position to make a ton of changes roster wise. So you've got to continue to figure out how you can play with the talent that you have. And they're doing it now. But again, McDaniel has not shown the consistency of sticking, with this type of stuff, right? So, as if Tua starts picking it up a little bit, are we suddenly going to go back to, multiple motions, spreading it out, throwing it more often than we're running it, that type of thing? Or can McDaniel continue to run the ball, allow that to be the focal point of the offense, and just let Tua be able to, make a few plays here and there?
All right, so let's get ahead to Monday night. Pittsburgh Steelers fans are not thrilled with their own team right now. It's not Mike Tomlin's best group. His teams do tend to get better as the season goes on. They always find a way to creep away with 9 wins one way or the other. It's a critical game for them. I mean, they're in a bad division. They need to win this game. How do you see this going? And do we have a weather report yet? Because I mean, I'm assuming under 40 degrees, right? So.
Oh yeah. I think we're talking like mid-20s with a wind chill down in the teens is what we're looking at, and possibly some precipitation to go with it.
Sounds like the times I've been there. So what is
I think it's about right. I just pulled it up for Monday night. 20 degrees, partly cloudy. I guess there's a small chance of snow. It says so. That's what we're dealing with.
Okay, so how are they handling that, Eric? What are they doing?
I mean, Well, it's crazy that the Steelers are sitting there at 7-6 and they have a chance to win their division, and we're sitting here a game behind that and need a
No
miracle
chance.
to make the playoffs. Like, why can't we be in a division that's like that? But so I mean, it means a lot to both teams. It obviously means a lot to the Steelers to still be competing for their division title, and it even though it would take a miracle for the Dolphins to make the playoffs, it's a big game for the Dolphins in terms of what it means for the future in terms of helping out with some of these narratives, right? You got the primetime game, you got the cold weather game, you got a team with a winning record. Like, there's a lot of stuff that can either go in the favor of the Dolphins or out of the favor of the Dolphins. I do, there's people out there that will say that weather is not a big factor. When you talk about this type of game, it is, right? The Jets game was not. The Jets game, when you're around 40 degrees, like I was at the game, I wasn't even wearing a jacket. Like, I mean, it wasn't
You're
warm.
tougher than most, though.
Yeah. I would have had 3 layers on in 40.
Right.
I'm not saying it was warm.
I would have had a canopy over me, but that's okay. That's fine.
but no, this weather they're going to play in on Monday night, that's a different kind of cold, especially if you're not used to it. But one of the big things with that is that, when you've played in the cold, you understand that it hurts a lot less when you're out there and you're the one hitting somebody else. So if you're going out there, you're being aggressive, you're getting out to that early lead, then the cold is less of a factor. If you're the one that's taking those hits, right? If you're the quarterback that's sitting back there and taking the sacks, taking the quarterback hits, then, you kind of go to the sideline. You're like, this weather sucks. But so I think that's going to be the big thing, is being able to get out to an early lead. This is one of those games that if the Dolphins fall behind early, it's probably going to get ugly really quick because they're not a team that's used to it. They're going to be miserable in it. But if they can get out to that early lead, and that sounds weird to say that it both is and is not a factor, but if you can get out to a lead in this type of weather, then it can almost be an advantage in a lot of ways, because whatever team is behind is not going to be having a good time on the sideline, and it's going to change your mood, and that's going to change the way that you react to that weather.
Let's close it up.
You said something a few minutes ago that stuck with me. Like, why can't the Dolphins be in a division like, the Steelers are in with the AFC North? I mean, how much do you feel like this team missed their window of opportunity? Now that, I guess Buffalo's not as good as they've been, but they're still ahead of us. And now the Patriots are kind of back, right? Like, how badly did we miss our timing here?
I wouldn't say it's closed yet. I'm still not completely sold on the Patriots. Like, they're kind of in the position that we were in a few years ago when we're playing those, last place teams in the divisions because of the way you finished the previous year, right? So I'm, not crowning them as champions. They're obviously better than we are right now, but I'm not sure that I'm not saying that the Patriots of today are the Patriots of 10 years ago or the Bills of, 3-4 years ago. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how the division plays out as we move forward. But probably, at least a couple of years away for the Dolphins having that opportunity.
A couple of years away from 20 years away, basically, because it's been, I mean, 2001, right? Like that the Patriots won that division, and then they won it over and over and over and over and over. And I mean, the Dolphins won it in 2008, I guess. That would be the one time that they broke through. And that was a tiebreaker. And I was at that game. That was cold. Meadowlands, Favre. Pennington beat Favre 2008. Why do I do that all the time? I always do that. Dolphins win the division. I'm used to the Heat winning divisions. Dolphins win the divisions, and that's the only time that's actually happened of late. Even 16, they were a wild card, right? So they 16, they were a wild card. That was the Jay Ajayi year, and it's just amazing. It's just thank God for the Jets. That's all. Thank God for the Jets. Right. All right, we appreciate it. Thank you, Coach Eric. Check out all his work at OL Coach Smith 63. Alex and I will be back next week. Again, Monday night game, Dolphins at the Steelers. Let's just ride this fantasy all the way until the end. Have a good one, everybody.
See ya.